This page is the front cover of issue 21 of 64 magazine. It's dominated by a massive headline proclaiming Zelda as Game of the Century. Of course, they are talking about Ocarina of Time, finally hitting the N64, and everyone knew it was going to be something special. Link is front and center wielding the Master Sword and Hylian Shield, classic stuff. The cover also shouts out, Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, with a tag for page 38, and a glimpse of those gruesome enemies. There's a mention of other games in a strip across the bottom, Wipeout 64, Duke Nukem, and Rally 99, all the hot new N64 titles you'd expect to see covered, and a little box teasing SCARS being better than Diddy Kong Racing, which is a bold claim, plus a promise of a free book worth £9.95. Magazines always did that to get you to buy them. The next page is a right treat, two adverts battling for your attention. On the left, it's Woolworths proclaiming, Welcome to Paradise, amidst a mountain of Walker's crisps and floating N64 controllers. They're pushing the new Nintendo releases, Zelda, Ocarina of Time for a hefty £49.99, Turok 2, Seeds of Evil and Rally, both at £39.99, and WCW vs NWO Revenge also at £49.99. All big hitters that Christmas of '98, release dates all in November and December. Then on the right, it's 64 magazine itself advertising subscriptions. Save up to £42 they say, with a big Banjo-Kazooie character waving you over. They're tempting you with a free book, and listing a bunch of N64 games you'll be reading about. GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie of course, Forsaken, World Cup, 98, Yoshi's Story, Diddy Kong Racing, Mario 64, and Mario Kart 64. They're also pushing tie-in books for Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, and Lilac Wars, which is Star Fox 64 to us, and you can see the magazine cover again, still banging on about Zelda. Turn to page 88 to subscribe if you're interested, they say. Issue 21 of 64 magazine offers a diverse selection of content. Features include previews of Duke Nukem 0 Hour and Chameleon Twist 2. The 64 site section covers Gomon 2, Bust-A-Move 2, and Survivor, Day 1. Regular features encompass the 64 showcase, letters, subscription info, a game index, and a preview of the next issue. Gamebusters provides cheat codes, a competition section, and a guide for Buck Bumble. The reviews section covers a range of games, including the acclaimed Zelda 64, Ocarina of Time, Turok 2, Wipeout 64, and others like Let's Smash Tennis and SCIRS. The UK update section features news on F-Zero X, Bomberman Hero, Holy Magic Century, Gasp, and 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, giving a taste of the N64's latest offerings. 64 Magazine's showcase reports several delays. Turok 2's review is delayed, ironically preceding the game's release. Nintendo is stingy with Zelda 64 review copies in the UK. Turok 2 is delayed to December due to production issues. Nintendo secured a 5-year Star Wars game deal, starting with The Phantom Menace, with Nintendo platforms receiving them first. Staff desks are humorously critiqued. Star Wars, Rogue Squadron is delayed to the new year. Rare won BAFTA awards for GoldenEye. Earthworm Jim 3D is pushed back to February. Finally, a Zelda, Ocarina of Time novel by Jason Rich is announced. This issue of 64 magazine highlights several N64 news items. A new Space Invaders game is coming, and Rare's Perfect Dark will be a large 256 MB cartridge. Jet Odyssey has been renamed Harrier 2001. The magazine announces a competition to win a Turok cutout, and notes the South Park game's delay to early '99 due to Turok 2's delays. Rollerball, a futuristic roller skating game, is previewed. The Buck Bumble Shock Pack, a Rumble Pack, is also featured. The charts show GoldenEye's decline, with Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Turok 2 expected to top the charts next month. Readers can enter a contest to win a gift voucher by predicting the top 3 games. Nintendo character keyrings are now available. Strategy guides for Zelda 64 and Game Boy Color are advertised. Finally, a humorous list, signs you're playing too much Zelda, is included. This page presents the Game Watch section, a proper rundown of upcoming Nintendo 64 games for December '98 and 1999. Loads of titles in the pipeline, a real mix from puzzlers like Bust-A-Move 3 to fighters like Fighting Force, and sports with NBA Jam 99, and first-person shooters like Quake 2. Loads with TBC release dates. Typical. Big advert on the right for Acclaim Sports, pushing their sports titles like NHL Breakaway 99, NBA Jam 99, NFL Quarterback Club 99, and WWF Warzone. They're really going for it on the N64, Game Boy, and even PlayStation with their sports games. This letters page features reader questions and answers. One reader's N64 controller is stiff, with a suggestion of WD-40. Another asks about copying N64 games, sparking a discussion on piracy. A letter also mentions a rugby game for N64 being developed. Another reader describes a GoldenEye cheat, which is confirmed. Ask Andy answers various questions. The Dreamcast shows promise, while Clay Fighter 63 1/3 is not recommended. He provides a vague cheat code, and doubts the 64DD will come to Britain. Expansion pack games look good, but Turok 2 is better. Harrier 2000 is now Harrier 2001 and unreleased. Andy disagrees that Banjo-Kazooie is better than Mario 64, but considers it good. Mission Impossible is considered as good as GoldenEye. Other questions cover Perfect Dark levels, Rampage World Tour's quality, Earthbound on 64, and a game's score. Andy also addresses the 64 Dead's Japan-only release, Nintendo's sales outside Japan, and Street Fighter II's cartridge size. Finally, there are details on Zelda 64 rumors, Donkey Kong 64's release, Mario character's age, Final Fantasy's likelihood, the next console's codename, and the Game Boy Color. The 64 forum letters page features reader opinions on various topics. Brian from Gravesend supports Nintendo abandoning the 64DD. A discussion arises about whether video games are for adults, with opinions ranging from Radnad88's dismissal of ageist views to Suzanne's acceptance of gaming's broadening appeal. Paul from Torquay suggests the generational divide is the root of the problem. Readers debate the return of the memory card losers page. Individual letters include a rant from Demented Nirvana fan, a Girl Gamer's entry on 64 preferences, Reservoir Dogs discussing the expansion pack, a Maniac writes calling for more violent games, and Lamped recounting a chaotic GoldenEye multiplayer session. An advert for the Total Games Guide to Game Boy Color is also featured, priced at £1.95 and releasing on December 12. This page showcases a preview of Goemon 2 on the N64, proclaiming, "The blue-haired boy is back." It's positioning itself as a proper sequel to the SNES Goemon games, promising a 3D side-scrolling platforming adventure, and highlighting the two-player cooperative gameplay both in the platform sections and in big 3D robot battles, which sounds rather fun. They mention you can play as different characters with unique weapons. It also hints at mini-games and horse racing returning, like the older games. It's slated for a spring 1999 release from Konami. Alongside the Goemon preview, there's a big advert for an N64 cheat service called N64 Cheats, the UK's biggest and best audio cheats service, boasting 100 cheats are now available. It lists a massive amount of games they cover, from 1080 snowboarding right through to Yoshi's Story. Pretty much every big N64 title from what I can see. If you're stuck, you can ring them up on 089 012 03 006. Costs 60p a minute though. The next page features a preview of Buster Move 3, banging on about how addictive it is, comparing it to crack cocaine dissolved in lager, which is a bit strong. It's still bubble-popping puzzle action, like an upside-down Tetris they reckon, but this time they've added new characters, puzzle editing, and even a 4-player mode. Acclaim are publishing it, and it's due out in December 98. Then we have a look at Survivor, Day 1, from Konami's American lot, their first N64 game apparently. It's set on a crashed spaceship, and you're trying to get off it while fighting monsters, exploring and bumping into other survivors. They're saying it's a mix of exploration, combat, and RPG bits, and you'll be exploring from one end of the ship to the other. Konami are aiming for a mid-99 release for that one. And lastly, there's a big advert for Holy Magic Century on the right. They are calling it the first RPG ever for the Nintendo 64. Looks like your typical action RPG fantasy malarkey. Duke Nukem 0 Hour on the N64 is a new, third-person adventure featuring the iconic hero battling aliens. Developed by Euro.com in collaboration with GT Interactive and 3D Realms, it's not a port of the PlayStation title but a fresh experience. The plot involves the usual alien invasion and Duke's signature negotiation style. Gameplay enhancements include ladder climbing, a sniper rifle, and new enemies like time period-specific pigcops and bosses. Duke sports new costumes like Victorian dress, The game supports the 4MB expansion pack for enhanced graphics. 0 Hour introduces a squad feature, though it wasn't fully realized. The levels include present-day streets, post-apocalyptic environments, and encounters with enemies such as Octobrains and Boss Hog. New weapons like the sniper rifle and scatter laser are also included. The game features Duke's trademark cheeky humor, with numerous in-game joke posters. This page showcases a feature on Duke Nukem 0 Hour, and it's all about the hardware, baby. It's delving into the weapons Duke will be wielding, and the different time periods you'll be blasting through. We're getting a look at classic weapons like the M40 pulse gun and Claw 12 shotgun, alongside new toys like the alien scatter laser that bounces laser blasts all over the shop, and the Havoc multi-launcher which fires heat-seeking mini-missiles, proper futuristic stuff. There's also the less subtle options like the AGL-9 grenade launcher and pipe bomb, or for freezing enemies solid, the alien freeze thrower. They're also showing off some of the levels, specifically episodes 2 and 3. Episode 2 is the Wild West, naturally, with standoffs in saloons and jailbreaks, and Duke swapping his usual arsenal for period-appropriate weapons like the Colt Peacemaker and lever-action rifle. Episode 3, Victorian England, looks a bit darker and fog-filled, set in Whitechapel with zombies everywhere. Apparently, the Gatling gun is your best mate for dealing with those hordes. They mention the SMJ might not even make the final cut for Victorian England, which is a bit of a shame if you ask me. There's also talk of dynamite replacing pipe bombs in the Wild West levels. Looks like they are really trying to make each time period feel distinct, with different enemies and weapons to match. All in all, it's shaping up to be a right blast. Duke Nukem 0 Hour's preview details new weaponry and gameplay. The game features era-specific weapons, a lever-action rifle and dynamite for the Wild West, and a Gatling gun and timed bombs for the Victorian era. A voltaic projector replaces the pulse cannon. Surprisingly, no power-ups are mentioned for these weapons. Episode 4, Time Zone Mix-Up, blends time periods, causing familiar locations to become scrambled. The plot involves Duke, potentially preventing his own demise as an infant. Multiplayer mode, in third person, will leverage diverse level designs across time periods, including funhouse levels. Ice levels are noted as potentially challenging for combat. A Spot the Difference segment showcases the 4MB expansion pack's visual enhancements, highlighting improved definition and smoother edges. The Mindfunk level is specifically mentioned as a visually interesting level. The variety of explosives promises chaotic multiplayer matches. Chameleon Twist 2 improves on its predecessor, with a chameleon that actually looks like one. The game features 6 expansive worlds, significantly larger than the original, and includes save points. Skyland offers cloud platforms. Musicland incorporates interactive instruments, including a giant keyboard. Toyland showcases a roller coaster with mouse-shaped cars. Odoland is inspired by classical Japan. Iceland offers slippery surfaces, and a potential fall-into-water world. Arabialand features desert environments with a say-what-you-see theme. Gameplay emphasizes the chameleon's tongue for swinging and puzzle solving, such as using fire creatures to raise platforms. Chameleon Twist 2, a significant improvement over the original, features a more realistic chameleon design and expanded gameplay. The game boasts 6 diverse worlds: Skyland, Musicland, Toyland, Edoland, Iceland, and Arabialand. Gameplay focuses on tongue-based mechanics for swinging and puzzle solving. Crucially, the sequel introduces save points, a welcome addition. Camera controls are improved, allowing for a 360-degree view. The game is slated for a February 1999 release. Also advertised is a Nintendo 64 tidy cabinet for £29.99. This cabinet includes a sliding shelf, storage compartments, and a magazine shelf. Praised as a bargain, it promises to organize gaming setups. This page features a stonking review for The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It's hailed as the game everyone has been waiting for, and rightly so. The review emphasizes the sheer scale and detail of Hyrule, the immersive gameplay, and the impressive visuals for the N64. They mention Link's sword-charging ability, and the Deku Tree section. There's a section called Navigator, discussing Link's fairy companion Navi, and her helpful hints, and another bit called $64,000 Question, which lists loads of positives like the massive play area, excellent story, puzzles, combat, sub-games, controls, cutscenes and surprises, concluding that you'll eventually finish it. Also on the page is Shigsy Speaks, An interview with Shigeru Miyamoto himself. He talks about the secret of a great game being a 70/30 split between tasks and secrets, and compares Zelda 64 to Mario 64, mentioning the number of directors involved. He also gives an estimate of at least 40 hours of gameplay to finish the adventure. Blimey! This review of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time praises its depth. The opening sequence, Nightmare on Kokiri Street, and Link's recurring dream establish the narrative. A View with a Room highlights the game's clever use of polygon scenery, offering unique perspectives. As long as you've got your elf, notes the game's familiar Zelda elements, the Tolkien-esque world, and the transition to 3D exploration. Dogfight, and the game looks gorgeous, focus on the combat, calling it fantastic and flexible. The review highlights the Z targeting system, versatile attack options, and the intuitive use of the B, R, and C buttons for weapon and item selection. Screenshots illustrate combat techniques and gameplay mechanics, such as using bombs, torches, and the hookshot. The review is overwhelmingly positive, emphasizing the game's ingenuity. This page continues the review of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It starts with status quo, explaining the pause screen functionality, showing the equipment and quest status screens. Icons see clearly now, discusses the game world and the improvements made, with screenshots showcasing a sculptural enemy and Link targeting it. Filmed in VistaVision, focuses on Hyrule Castle Town and its bustling atmosphere, with a fixed camera perspective tracking Link. Moving on, will revolve around saving Hyrule, discusses the immersive nature of the game compared to other titles, and highlights the Temple of Time as a key location. Nevermind the blocks touches on puzzle elements, noting block pushing mechanics, and shows an image of Link interacting with blocks. Somebody Stop Me highlights the Happy Mask shop in Hyrule Castle Town, and its unique gameplay element of buying and selling masks, with a screenshot of the shop's interior and the Happy Mask salesman. I'm Huge emphasizes the game's scale, mentioning the reviewer spent 22 hours playing in just 2 days at Nintendo HQ, and comparing it to the original Legend of Zelda's 12-hour completion time. Finally, Horse Trading talks about Epona, Link's horse, and the requirement to gain her trust as young Link before riding her, with screenshots showing Link riding Epona in a race. The review overall seems very positive and in-depth, covering various aspects of the game. This review of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time praises the game lavishly, calling it the game of the century, and awarding it a 98% overall score. The reviewer highlights the game's engrossing scale, promising about 40 hours of gameplay to reach 70% completion, with plenty of side content. Minor criticisms include targeting and camera angles. The review recommends the game strongly, even suggesting buying an N64 just to play it, comparing it favorably to Super Mario 64. The review also contains details on chests, combat controls, and a humorous aside about the game's portrayal of women. Accompanying the review is an advertisement for a Turok 2 guide magazine and alternative game suggestions like Banjo-Kazooie. The game receives full marks in all rating categories, including graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge. This review hails Turok 2, Seeds of Evil as a significant improvement, particularly with the expansion pack. It's praised for its high-resolution graphics, gory violence reminiscent of Cannibal Holocaust, and detailed animations. Unlike previous reviews, this one emphasizes the multiplayer aspect. Despite initial concerns about the first level's pacing, the review highlights improved enemy AI, impressive weaponry, and non-stop carnage, including limb dismemberment. The expansion pack's high-res mode is lauded, considered the future of gaming. While the game's visuals and gameplay are positively received, the review acknowledges potential drawbacks like repetitive elements and the default weapon selection. An info box provides game details, including multiplayer support, cart size, publisher, developer, and release information. Screenshots are included to showcase both low and high-resolution gameplay. The next page delves deeper into Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, focusing on the multiplayer aspect which they've titled 4 on the Boar. It highlights several game modes. Bloodlust is your straightforward deathmatch, simple and to the point. Frag Tag introduces a twist, where one player becomes a monkey, and everyone else has to hunt them down. A bit of silly fun. Team Blood is a cooperative mode, where players team up as red or blue, and battle it out. Shallow Grave is another mode mentioned. And finally, Switch Me On is discussed in relation to the single-player experience. The review touches on the graphics. reiterating that the Triceratops looks fantastic, especially in Highers mode with the expansion pack, as mentioned previously. It praises the gory effects and detailed animations, but mentions that the animations can become repetitive after a while. They point out that the level design, while visually impressive, can be quite linear and involve a lot of backtracking through similar-looking corridors and tunnels, and perhaps lack some intelligent enemy design. Despite these criticisms, the review ends on a positive note, suggesting that at the price, you can't really go wrong with Turok 2. Screenshots throughout the page illustrate the different multiplayer modes in action and some of the level environments. There are also captions highlighting elements like the Triceratops in Highers, zombies in a graveyard, and a pulsating egg sac, giving a flavor of the game's varied content. This page continues the review of Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, kicking off with Walk the Dinosaur, which focuses on Level 2, the River of Souls. It mentions playing as Turok riding a Triceratops and plowing through a city, taking on mortars. Die! 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 Section is all about the multiplayer, saying it's faster and smoother than GoldenEye, and closer to Quake 2 on the N64. They reckon the multiplayer levels are well designed for pure gunplay. Alone in the Dark delves into the scary aspects of the game, set in the River of Souls, noting the dark environments, zombies, and limited visibility relying on muzzle flashes and enemy eyes. Finally, Spilling Seed touches on the sprawling level design, noting that while large, levels can be a bit long-winded, often ending with just a switch or teleport. The review highlights the gruesome enemy deaths, suggesting they are gloriously imaginative. Screenshots throughout showcase gameplay, including the Triceratops action, zombie enemies, and dark atmospheric environments. Captions point out details like turrets, mortar fire, secret areas, and the need to use a satchel charge. There's also a mention of the cerebral bore weapon and its gory glory. This page continues the Turok 2 review, and they are really singing its praises. They're calling it the goriest game of the decade, reckon it's got some truly gruesome deaths that will have you either glued to the screen or hiding behind the sofa. The second opinion agrees, noting it's a massive game with loads of weapons and puzzles, but it's the deathmatch that's the real draw. They've given Turok 2 a solid 90% overall. Graphics, audio, gameplay and challenge are all rated highly with loads of the N64 magazine N logos, which is a top score for them. The soundbite mentions the single player being a bit disappointing, but the deathmatch is apparently brilliant. There's a little section on the controls, showing the N64 pad layout, dead simple stuff, and a list of alternatives if you're after similar games, suggesting GoldenEye and Forsaken. Flicking over to the right page, it's a Penny Racers advert, big and bold. Endless variations, and limited only by your imagination, are plastered across it. Looks like a mini car racing game, with checkered flag theming, lots of screenshots of the tiny cars on different tracks, and using power-ups. Wipeout 64 for the N64 is a futuristic racer, offering an adrenaline rush, reminiscent of F-Zero X and the PlayStation Wipeout games. It features anti-gravity ships, weapon combat, and twisty tracks. While the game delivers speed and action, it's somewhat limited. It has only 5 ships and 7 tracks, a stark contrast to the more extensive content of Zero X. The game offers different play modes and teams: Physar, Ag Systems, Oricom, Quirex, and Piranha 11, each with unique handling and a special superweapon. The review highlights positives, such as fast-paced gameplay, great 2-player mode, and fantastic music. However, it also points out drawbacks, including poor pop-up issues, limited tracks and vehicles, and flawed 3- and 4-player modes. The multiplayer experience suffers due to screen size limitations. Saving your best times and unlocking hidden content requires a controller pack. The game receives a score of 46/100, suggesting it's a decent racer, but not exceptional. This page features a review of Wipeout 64, confirming it's a fast-paced futuristic racer for the N64, just like the PlayStation versions and that for Zero X game. It talks about the different teams and weapons, giving it an overall score of 80%. The review reckons it's got great speed, music, and a good 2-player mode but isn't perfect. It mentions control options and alternatives like Freezy A0X and XG2. Gediola. On the right side, there's an advert for Madeira Games, selling N64 games and gear. They're pushing a Pioneer DVD player, and Neo Geo Pocket Bits too. They've got a list of N64 games, like Zelda, Tetris, Extreme G2, and Twisted Edge Snowboarding. They're also advertising as PlayStation games, and some special offers for Japanese PSX games. Looks like they sell everything. Let's Smash for the N64 is a tennis game likened to Smash Court Tennis. It features simple controls with pass and smash shots, and is easy to learn. The game includes knockout tournaments, practice mode, and multiplayer doubles for up to 4 players, with the ability to hit your partner. The game boasts 14 players, a 64 meg cart, no rumble feature, and is published and developed by Hudson. It is a Japanese tennis sim, available now for £59.99. The review awards high scores, 4 out of 5 for graphics and audio, and 5 for gameplay and challenge, resulting in an overall 90% rating. It's praised for responsiveness, detail, and the partner hitting feature. Customization options are present, along with fun courts like lava fields, and a Lego-themed bonus game. Player creation offers customization, and a second opinion calls it immense fun. SCARS, Supercomputer Animal Racing Simulation, for N64 is a futuristic racer featuring animal-inspired cars with unique stats in armor, speed, and weapons. Tracks vary from Aztec to underwater, offering multiple routes. It's compared favorably to Mario Kart but with a rallycross style. The game includes weapons and weapon customization, with 9 total cars unlockable through challenge mode. Review scores are strong, with high marks for gameplay and overall reaching 87%. It excels in multiplayer, being a top N64 racer particularly for 4 players. It's considered an excellent, fast-paced off-road racing game, especially for those seeking an alternative to typical kart racing. A controller pack is required for saving content. Rally 99 for N64, reviewed by Roy Kimber, receives a 69% score. The game is largely identical to the PlayStation version, featuring arcade and championship modes, but suffers from dated graphics, including blockiness and noticeable pop-up. Handling is deemed fair, but issues like invisible walls exist. Replay mode is a positive, and the sound is good. A breakdown highlights positives such as fast and colorful graphics, and a wide car selection, countered by negatives like pop-up, slowdown, and multiplayer shortcomings. Alternatives like Top Gear Rally are suggested. Andy McDermott's second opinion calls it a bad port, with his main point being that the Saturn version of Sega Rally is better. The consensus is that Rally 99 felt dated upon release. Rakuga Kids for N64 is a beat-em-up reviewed by Andy McDermott and Roy Kimber. Andy finds it a bit of alright, praising its unique, friendly, non-violent style and Street Fighter-like controls. Roy calls it brilliant, particularly for younger players, highlighting its humor. The game's storyline involves magic crayons and ancient ruins. Positives include fast-paced gameplay, colorful visuals, humor, and ease of play. The review humorously references Ford Cougar and compares the controls to Street Fighter and Mario. Saving utilizes the controller pack. Graphics, audio, and gameplay each receive a score of 4 out of 5, while the challenge gets a 3. Overall, Rakuga Kids receives a 79% rating, with the soundbite summarizing it as strange but short-lived fun. NFL Quarterback Club 99 for Nintendo 64 is a surprisingly brilliant American football game. The review highlights its sleekness, updated rosters, and improved graphics. Featuring up-to-date player rosters and amusing commentary, the game offers a good selection of plays and strategic depth. The Ninfo box details the game's specifications, including its 128 meters cart, rumble support, and multiplayer capabilities. The review includes controller layouts and lists NFL Quarterback Club 98 and John Madden 64 as alternatives. Awarded top marks across the board, with an overall score of 90%, the review praises the game's graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge, calling it the best gridiron game ever. The game supports save functionality via the controller pack and offers a fun experience for both newcomers and seasoned fans. F-Zero X for the N64 is praised for its blistering speed and intense racing action, described as an evolution of the original. Players pilot futuristic vehicles with a diffuser system and can engage in a zero-tolerance death race mode. Grand Prix mode offers 3 initial cups with 6 tracks each, with more unlocking as you progress. There are 30 crafts to choose from, but you start with 6. Track design evolves from simple to complex, featuring tubes and wall-less sections. The game supports save functionality via the controller pack. The PAL version maintains the same speed as the import. Multiplayer offers infinite track possibilities. While graphics are considered simple by some, gameplay is top-notch. The game features N64 controller layouts, and alternatives like XG2 and Aero Gauge are mentioned, but F-Zero X is the preferred choice. Overall scores are high, with a 90% rating. Chi. This page is all about Bomberman Hero, which is finally out. They've given it a quirky tagline of extreme jerky vision, hinting at some animation issues. The story involves rescuing Princess Million from evil forces, classic Bomberman world-saving stuff with space fleets and tactical nukes. They mention the gameplay speed feels slow, like wading through treacle, and that pop-up graphics are quite noticeable. Apparently the UK version is a bit sluggish compared to the import. The overall review score is 49%. Looking at the ratings, graphics and audio got 2 out of 5, and gameplay and challenge got 3. They show the N64 controller layout, and mention saving positions and scores. The game info confirms it's published by The Games, developed by Hudson Soft, a 3D platformer, and priced at £39.99. They also suggest Bomberman 64 and Space Station Silicon Valley as alternatives, and end on a sour note saying the sound is even worse than the import version. The next page features a couple of game reviews. First up is Holy Magic Century, an RPG. It seems they reckon the combat system is a bit repetitive, and the characters are a tad unresponsive, making it feel a bit old-fashioned compared to titles like Quest. Graphically and audibly, it's not blowing anyone away, getting 2 out of 5 for both. Gameplay and challenge fare a bit better with 3 out of 5. The overall score lands at 54%. Alternatives mentioned are Mystical Ninja and Zelda. The soundbite is quite cutting, suggesting you wait for Zelda instead. Ika. Then there's Gasp, Fighters n Extreme, a beat-em-up, clearly aiming for that Virtua Fighter and Fighting Vipers vibe. They highlight the character creation as a potentially interesting feature, where you can train up your fighters. However, it seems the PAL conversion isn't great, with huge borders and even slower speed than the Japanese release. Graphically and audibly it gets 3 out of 5, while gameplay and challenge get a slightly better 4 out of 5. Overall, it scores 62%. Alternatives suggested are WWF Warzone and Mortal Kombat 4. The soundbite is pretty dismissive, saying you'll be yawning rather than gasping. 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, a realistic snowboarding simulator for the Nintendo 64, has finally launched in Britain. Praised for its controls and immersive feel, it allows up to 4 players and utilizes rumble features. The game features diverse environments, including shortcuts and female character Akari Hayami. Multiplayer is limited to 2 players, sacrificing some track detail for speed. It saves records without a controller pack and boasts solid PAL performance. Control scheme: R for 180 turns, B for stunts, A for jumps, C buttons for view changes, and Z for crouching. It scores an 82% overall, with high marks for graphics, audio, gameplay, and challenge. The soundbite is, all the thrills of snowboarding without the expensive clothing. Also advertised is 64 Solutions magazine, issue 8, offering 132 pages of gaming solutions, maps, and cheats for titles like Turok 2 and Body Harvest, and an As of N64 cheats. It can be ordered via various methods for £4.95, including postage. This advertisement showcases a wide array of Nintendo products. N64 bundles are featured, with options like GoldenEye or Mario 64 for £99.99, or a bundle with International Superstar Soccer 98 and a sticker kit for £93.99. Additional N64 game deals are also present. Merchandise includes character plushies and themed cameras/walkie-talkies. Several N64 racing wheels are advertised, alongside a Game Boy Color competition. Game Boy offerings feature the Pocket Camera, printer, and games like Tetris. They also have Game Boy Pocket consoles in multiple colors, and accessories such as battery packs, carry cases, and link leads. Super NES games, like Donkey Kong Country, are also available. N64 accessories include rumble packs, cables, and action replay. A Game Boy booster is offered, alongside various N64 controllers. The page concludes with a new gem pack offer, for memory cards and controller packs. This issue of 64 magazine features Cheat Central, a compilation of codes for various Nintendo 64 games. F0X has codes to unlock everything, deform cars, change colors/camera views, and access a leader timer. Rakuga Kids includes codes for alternate costumes and unlocking characters like Inoz and Darkness. NFL Blitz offers hidden player codes based on names/pins, and a cheat mode for features like big heads and bullet passes. Bomberman Hero lists action replay codes for infinite weapons/health, turbo mode, and size modifiers. WWF Warzone details button combinations for tag team assistance. Lastly, Mission Impossible provides corrected UK codes for features like giant/big head modes, kid mode, turbo mode, and various weapons with infinite ammo and invulnerability. This page is an advertisement from Department E, a video game retailer. They're pushing their buy, sell and exchange services for both Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color games. You can see lists of software prices for both UK and Japanese Nintendo 64 games, both brand new and second-hand. They're also selling Game Boy Color games and consoles. There's a big shout out for their Passport Plus add-on, which lets you play Japanese and American games on your UK N64. Hardware and accessories are on offer too, both new and used. You can spot screenshots from games like Rogue Squadron, Castlevania 64, Space Station Silicon Valley, and Turok 2. Seeds of Evil to give you an idea of what they stock. They're also advertising instant game exchange and even hiring new staff for a new London office. Delivery is mentioned. They guarantee next day if you order before 6:30 in the evening, with free gifts on orders over a tenner. Broken consoles? They'll repair them, and you get a 3-month guarantee on repairs. Right at the bottom there's an advert for Neo Geo Pocket consoles and Nintendo keyrings. Finally, they have their rules of exchange. Seems like you get half cash or 2/3 exchange value on your old games. This page is the Score Zone, a proper retro feature in 64 magazine. It's all about bragging rights, seeing your name in print for getting top scores on your favorite N64 games. They've got lists upon lists of high scores sent in by readers for loads of games. You've got classics like Banjo-Kazooie, 1080 snowboarding showing off trick scores, racing games like Nagano Winter Olympics and Wave Race 64 with time trials, and even fighting games like Fighter's Destiny with record attack times. There's a good mix from puzzle games like Tetrisphere to racers like Diddy Kong Racing and shooters such as GoldenEye. Down at the bottom they've got the 64 Score Zone pinboard, showing pictures of some of the readers who've made it into the magazine for their gaming prowess. Looks like proper old-school gaming dedication. This page of the Score Zone highlights reader-submitted high scores across various Nintendo 64 games. Featured games include Mischief Makers, with Gem Collection records, and Shadows of the Empire, showcasing level completion times. Top Gear Rally lists course times, while Extreme G focuses on course times. Mario 64 has a single entry for coin collection, while Mario Kart 64 boasts numerous track records. Snowboard Kids displays course times, and Quake 64 highlights speedruns. Beneath the scores, the Ultimate Player Competition awards a Trident pad and memory card monthly. An advertisement promotes the Nintendo 64 Gold Strategy Guide, offering solutions, cheats, and a free memory card for £14.95. The next page showcases a playing guide for Buck Bumble, covering missions 12 and 13. Mission 12, The Extractor, tasks our stripy hero with destroying a mucus extractor, the source of herd power. The guide provides step-by-step instructions, starting with opening the herd gate by activating 3 switches guarded by enemies like dragonflies and killer pillars. It mentions secret locations, including one near a killer pillar puddle with a fusion cannon, and another by a tombstone with a pulse laser. Players are advised to watch out for blocker bugs, and use weapons like the guided missile launcher and phase column. Turning over the page we're into Mission 13, Nuke Tower. This mission is about deactivating a large nuclear device. The guide highlights the first section, being full of wasps and hoverflies, and advises taking out the generator first. It warns about lily launchers and maggot missiles. Secret locations are pointed out, such as one near a mushroom with a full health pickup and a fusion cannon, and another by a small blue pad. To destroy the nuke, players must shoot 3 small protrusions at its base 3 times, starting with the flashing blue one, all within a time limit of 150. The plasma pistol is recommended for taking down wasps near the nuclear device. Mission 14, Mucus Storage, involves destroying radioactive silos, use guided missiles for hoverflies and switches, and louse gun emplacements for spotters. Navigate through the herd gate, utilize missiles on switches and phase columns, and destroy the herd building and silos. Find a secret fusion cannon. Mission 15, Depot Attack, requires intercepting wood wasps carrying spores and destroying a spore carrier. Use the fusion cannon, limited ammo, pulse laser and spiker. Stay near the wood wasps and use radar. Destroy all wasps before the finish line, then target the carrier's engines. Mission 16, Sterilization, tasks you with activating a det trigger and escaping. Use plasma pistol and HGS 2000. Ignore ground enemies and rush to the sewer entrance. The HGS 2000 can be used on blockers/spiders if necessary. A secret HGS 2000 can be found. This page showcases a playing guide for Buck Bumble, focusing on missions 17 and 18. Mission 17 is Scorpion Killer. The guide advises you to destroy all enemies, starting with the spider on its web using the HGS 2000. You'll then encounter a scorpion tank. The tip is to attack its weak spot, which is the eye between its front guns. You'll also need to watch out for homing mines in one area, and there are ammo and health pickups in alcoves. The pulse laser is highlighted as the best weapon for the scorpion tank. Mission 18, Core Nuke, involves destroying the herd outpost and beetle nest to activate a teleport entrance to the herd base. You're told to take out the 4 blue spheres on lasers before planting a bomb. Once inside the Core Nuke area via teleport, you have to destroy 4 blue laser spheres, deal with Killer guards and wasps, plant the bomb, and get out quick as there's a 1-minute 40-second timer before detonation. The guide mentions using a guided missile to blow the switch connected to the phase columns. This guide provides a walkthrough for Buck Bumble's Mission 19, Gatekeepers, focusing on locating keys and reaching the Queen's Chamber. Players are advised to utilize pulse lasers against gatekeepers and navigate the herd temple for resources. The guide then details the Queen boss fight, emphasizing the use of pulse lasers or fusion cannons to target her head during both her initial and pupa-type forms. The page also includes advertisements. Skill promotes game imports and sales for PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and Dreamcast, offering both new and second-hand games. Console King advertises modified Nintendo 64 consoles with increased speed, games with cheat functions, accessories for PlayStation and Nintendo 64, universal disc players, and various import consoles. This page is a cracking advert for strategy guides for your Nintendo 64. They've got guides for all the big hitters, like Zelda 64, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye, Lilac Wars, Turok 2, and even World Cup 98 for the footy fans. Looks like they've also got a Nintendo 64 Secrets, Strategies, Solutions Gold, which must be a real treasure trove. They're pushing a magazine subscription to 64 Solutions, and if you sign up for a year you get to choose one of these game guides for free. The guides promise complete walkthroughs, all levels mapped, and cheat codes galore, proper insider info for getting the most out of your Ling 64 games. There's even a Maximum Solutions, Turok 2 magazine, which is a dedicated guide just for that game. You can order through phone, email, web, mail, or even fax, proper old-school methods. And you can pay by check, postal order, or credit card. Looks like Paragon Publishing are the folks to contact in Bournemouth if you're after these guides. This page is an advert for subscribing to 64 magazine. Looks like they're pushing a mega deal subscription. If you sign up, you get to choose one of 8 games for just 35 quid. They've got some crackers in there: GoldenEye, Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Mario Kart 64, Yoshi's Story, Diddy Kong Racing, World Cup 98 and Forsaken. Plus, if you go for the full mega deal, you can also choose a free strategy guide for games like Lilac Wars, GoldenEye, or Banjo-Kazooie. Those are the big hitters everyone wants guides for, right? They're talking about massive savings, up to £42. Looks like they've got different subscription options, 6 issues or 12 issues, with different prices for the UK, Europe, and the rest of the world. There's a form to fill in with your details and payment info, old school style. Down the side they've got all the back issues from 1 to 20. You can see the cover stars, Zelda 64, Turok 2, GoldenEye, and all those iconic games. And there's Banjo giving a thumbs up, classic. This N64 game guide reviews a variety of titles. Standouts include 1080 Snowboarding, 82%, Blastcore, 80%, Body Harvest, 85%, and Buck Bumble, 90%. Some games scored poorly, such as Aerofighters Assault, 20%, and Augusta Masters, 98, 25%. The Groovy Man charts ranked top games, with GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie, and IS-98 tied at 95%. The worst games include FIFA 64 and Aerofighters Assault. The Hit the Heights platformer list features Banjo-Kazooie and Super Mario 64 at the top. A review for Doraemon scored a low 30%. This text reviews various Nintendo 64 games, highlighting their strengths and weaknesses. Games like Chameleon Twist, Duke Nukem 64, Diddy Kong Racing, and Forsaken receive positive reviews, with GoldenEye and IS-98 earning top scores. Conversely, titles such as Clay Fighter 63 1/3, Cruisin' USA, FIFA 64, and Glory of St. Andrews are heavily criticized. The reviews cover a range of genres, including platformers, racing games, fighting games, and sports simulations. The page also features a Hit the Bull chart of top-rated games and a Load of Bull section that identifies Aerofighter's Assault as the worst. Finally, the text includes a 64 puzzles section, featuring puzzle games. This Nintendo 64 Nindex section reviews a wide range of games, sports titles like John Madden 64, American football, NHL 99, ice hockey, and NBA Courtside, basketball, receive positive feedback, with Courtside being the best basketball game. Lylat Wars, Star Fox 64, and Mario Kart 64 are praised, while Mortal Kombat 4 and Killer Instinct Gold offer action, though the former's appeal is waning. Other highlights include Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Puyo Puyo Sun 64, and Quake. Disappointments include Mission Impossible, Pocket Monsters Stadium, and several sports titles like Off-Road Challenge and Mortal Kombat Trilogy. The Clip Winners section highlights top scores, with IS-98 leading at 95%. Nindex reviews a range of N64 games. Robotron 64 and WWF vs NWO Revenge receive positive marks, while Shadows of the Empire and Yoshi's Story get mixed reception. Several games are dismissed. Super Robot Spirits, YLE Country Club, XG2, and War Gods. Standouts include Weetrix, Space Station Silicon Valley, and Top Gear Rally. The Beat 'em Up section ranks WWF Warzone as the best fighter. Top racing games include F1 World Grand Prix and Wave Race 64. WC, W vs N, WO, World Tour and Super Mario 64 are recommended. Turok, Dinosaur Hunter is praised despite platforming issues. Cruisin' USA and Clay Fighter 63 1/3 get low scores. The page concludes with a list of reviewers. This magazine preview is bursting with 90s N64 content. The cover hypes South Park 64 and a free book. Inside, expect comprehensive guides for Turok 2 and Zelda, along with reviews of games like Rush 2, NFL Blitz, and NBA Jam 99. The Ninfo section details the magazine's staff. The page is heavily advertising Special Reserve Club and shops, offering discounts and a catalogue of N64 and Game Boy games, even including some PlayStation comparisons. They're pushing a dual console purchase deal and listing shop locations. Additional adverts showcase a Max 3D2 DVD 4D monitor with 0% finance and a Game Boy Color with a free case. Free gifts like mini yo-yos and memory cards are also advertised with special reserve purchases.